A very good afternoon to everybody. Very good afternoon, ma'am. So Narendra is here. Hello, Narendra. Michael is here. Neeta is here. Good afternoon, everybody. And this Sai is also here. Waiting for Dinesh. A very good afternoon to everybody. So, starting with today's lecture, this is section B, chapter 2, part 2. Now we'll be dealing with the center of gravity, CG point, center of gravity in sports. You must have heard, and I know that you know it. What is CG? But in little bit detail, more detail and more elaborate way, I will explain. Most of you must be knowing it, and I will also clarify the main difference with center of mass and center of gravity. What is the main difference between the two, so that you can get it very clear in your mind. So, what is the difference? There is a difference between the two, so I'll also clarify that. And also in this lecture I'll let you know the methods which we use for determination of center of gravity. There are many approaches to do that. Some are based on generalized tables, which I have told you in the previous segment, that body segment data they generate and then they use it in the generalized form. And some very specific methods are there which are very specific according to athlete. So they are more of application in sports right now, because they are individually targeted and very specific for the sports person. So all these methods I'll be discussing today, and before that I'll be elaborating center of gravity, what is it and how it is different from center of mass, and also how it is important in sports with regard to stability and performance. So that is must for yeah, Dinesh has also joined. Good afternoon, Dinesh. So starting with the today's topic. So before moving further, I'll make some introductory points of CG which will help you to understand the concept very easily, and it will also make things clear in your mind with regard to CG. Okay, so let the screen come on your screens first. Yeah, so first of all, understand that our body is made up of different body segments: arms, hands, trunk, feet. Okay, so all these body segments have their individual weights, which I have already discussed in great detail in the body segment parameters lecture. So you all know now that these body segment parameters play crucial role in molecular musculoskeletal modeling also, and here also they contribute in CG. So all of these have individual weights, and when we sum up all these body part weight, then we'll get the body weight. So body weight is the sum of individual weights of all these body segments in our body. Okay, always keep this in mind. And these body segments are also exploited to find the location. There is a method which uses it. I'll discuss it later on. So these body segments are also utilized for that purpose also, for location of CG. So for this slide, you understand that our body weight is the collective sum of all of these body segments. Okay. Now, what is CG? CG is an hypothetical point. Definition wise, I am telling you, it is a hypothetical point about which distribution of these individual weights is symmetrical, or in the word, it is uniform, or in simple words, balanced. So it is a hypothetical point at which your whole mass is concentrated or distributed well, so that at that point when you measure a force, it will become zero. Its sum will be zero, because everything is very symmetrical and mass is distributed around that point. Okay, so that hypothetical point is known as center of gravity, and it is that point, that's hypothetical point where your whole mass is distributed symmetrically. Okay, and another definition is, it is that point at which center of gravity, gravitational earth, will act. Okay, so these are the two definitions which tell you what CG is. Now, if the body has more mass in the upper side, okay, for example, in the males, they are more muscular from upper side, so they have more mass, muscular mass on the upper side. So center of gravity shifts towards, always shift towards the point where mass is more. So it is slightly more towards the top of the body where upper body part has more mass. Okay, so this applies to humans, as the center of gravity of average person is located approximately at a height of 1 meter, thus being above the waist. So this is a generalized point. Last, in a normal person it is just above the waist, but as I've told you, it depends on the mass. So with increase in mass it will shift towards that, because it is that point where whole mass is concentrated or distributed well. Symmetric point, it is symmetrical point. So from this point you understand that it is not fixed point, it is not a fixed point. So from this slide you get to know that our body weight is the collective weight of individual weights. Number one, each of these individual weights contributes towards our body weight, and also they are used to locate our center of gravity. Number three, center of gravity is an hypothetical point at which the mass of our body is symmetrical, okay, distributed symmetrically. Fifth point, CG is movable, it is not a fixed point, it moves according to mass distribution. If mass distribution is more towards upper side, it will shift towards top side. On the other hand, if your legs are more in strength, more muscular, there is more mass in the lower body parts, then it will shift towards lower body side. So depending on the mass it shifts, so it is not fixed. Okay, so in normal human being, they have just given an example, it is just above the waist. Okay, now coming to this second slide to make points more clear. Let it shift to the next slide. Well, in the next slide you will see what is the center of gravity of your shapes, uniform shapes. Now we have some uniform shapes in this universe like square, triangle, sphere, circle. So in these cases it is very simple to locate center of gravity. It is just the center of that particular shape, and it is fixed always, because these are fixed shapes and they are not going to change. Because if a box is there, it will remain box. If it is squared box, it will remain squared. If it is in triangle shape box, it will remain triangle in shape, right? If it is circle, it will remain circle. So in these fixed uniform shapes, CG doesn't change, it is always at the center and it remains fixed, because these shapes are fixed ones, they are not going to change. So in the uniform shapes, the exact center of these shapes is the point where CG is located, because at that point their mass is distributed symmetrically. Okay, in other words, if you balance these objects right, you can balance them right focusing on this point, they will stay. If you take a stick and try to balance these, so you can only balance them if you touch that CG point, because at that point the balance will be there. So this is the case of uniform shapes, but our body is not uniform, so that is the reason the CG is not fixed in humans, because we are doing movements. Even due to movements also, CG changes, location of CG changes. So you always keep in mind that it is fixed only in the uniform shapes, solid uniform shapes that don't change their shape at all. It is fixed in that only. Otherwise, in the case of athletes, in the case of humans, it is always movable, and it moves according to mass. Okay, mass distribution. I think it's clear now. Now the next slide will show you a picture of an athlete with he's trying to sprint. Basically, he's a sprinter. So let it change on your slides. Yeah, so this is just to show you how center of gravity point. Now here you can see that it is leaning towards forward, it is moving out of the body little bit as compared to normal anatomical position. Anatomical position means when you are standing straight. So the point of showing you this figure right now is to show you just that this center of gravity point moves according to your motion also. Okay, going to next slide. Now I will next slide tell you about the location of center of gravity, how it varies and what are the concepts behind that. Center of gravity कैसे वेरी करती है आपके. वाह. Now center of gravity is a hypothetical point that I have already told you that at which gravity appears to be acting upon, right? For the average human, the center of gravity is at the center of pelvis when they are standing in the anatomical position. When they are standing, it is just at the center of pelvis. Now center of gravity shifts slightly upwards for the males due to their larger shoulder mass. So here the question again, that thing is repeating which I have told you in the first slide, that according to shift of your mass, in males shoulder mass is more broader as compared to females, so that's why it is a little bit upper side in males due to this reason. The only reason why it is towards upper side in males as compared to females, the answer is in males the muscle mass is more in the shoulders, in the upper body parts. So mass is more in the males in the upper body parts as compared to females. So that's why it is a little bit upper in males as compared to females. So this is the reason. Secondly, this means that athlete with larger legs will have a lower center of gravity. This is the second point. If however athlete has more leg strength, he has more strength, he has more muscle mass in lower body parts, for example he is a sprinter, so in that case it will shift towards lower body part. The key idea here is distribution of mass. If it is more in upper body part, it will shift towards upper side. If it is in lower body part, it will shift towards lower side. However, in the common population, if you talk about male and female, generally males have this towards upper part because of the mass distribution. So this is on average, generalized term. Generally we can see that males have this on towards upper side. Now the special case of athletes where the athlete is more trained to make his legs more powerful, more strengthy, he has more mass in the legs. So in that special cases, because the distribution has been shifted towards lower side, CG moves towards lower side. So keep this in mind. Don't mix these 2 points. First point is generalized. In generalized way, males have their CG located little bit up on upper side as compared to females because of more muscular mass on the upper side. On the other hand, in the same males, if they have more trained legs, they have more mass towards lower body parts in the legs, then it shifts towards lower side too. Okay, I think it is clear now. Moving to next, CG moves. Next slide tell you about how center of gravity moves. This is just an example so that you can understand more in a more elaborative way. Now, center of gravity moves according to the athlete's body position. So what this means, that when you are moving or when you are running or you are kicking a ball or doing anything, any sport activity, your CG point is going to move because you will shift your mass somehow. For example, if the runner, the center of gravity is in the lower region of the pelvis and in the front of his body. Now remember that photograph which I have shown you just now. So it is the same example where it is very clear that in that case your CG point moves forward and it is a little bit lower because his upper body is leaning to forwards. So this is the case. Why it is happening? To balance his body, to distribute his mass. He is leaning forward, and in that case, it's due to this movement his CG has lowered and has moved forward little bit. So the only idea on this slide is that CG is movable and it moves according to your motion, the type of motion you make. Okay, depending on your sport. So this is it. Now next slide will make you clear about what are the main differences between center of mass and center of gravity, because it is very crucial, important, so that you should understand at this point that what is the difference. There is a difference. Now this slide will make you clear. Now center of mass is a point at which distribution of mass is equal in all direction. So you will say it is the same thing like center of gravity. Center of gravity is also the same thing. Center of gravity is the point at which distribution of weight is equal in all directions. So what is the difference between the two? The only difference between center of mass and center of gravity is gravitational field. In center of mass, there is no dependence on gravitational field. Center of mass is not dependent on center of gravity. It will remain same throughout, because you are standing at moon, no problem. Center of mass remains same. So you are standing on Earth, it remains same. So this is the difference. On the other hand, center of gravity is dependent upon gravitational field. If you are standing, you have some point location at Earth, it will definitely vary on the moon. Or in other words, if uniform gravitational field is not uniform, you are in a space where your gravitational field is not uniform, then definitely your center of gravity going to vary. But center of mass will remain same. The location of center of mass will not change by change in gravity. So this is the only difference between the two. The center of mass and center of gravity of an object are in the same position if the gravitational field in which the object exists is uniform. If you have uniform gravitational field like Earth, that's why in many books you have seen that they use it, like synonyms. एक ही जैसे वर्ड्स, कहीं पर आपको सेंटर ऑफ मास मिलेगा, कहीं पर सेंटर ऑफ ग्रेविटी मिलेगा. दे यूज इट like same only. Why? Because on Earth the gravitational field is uniform, so यहाँ पर we can use it, but theoretically it should be very clear that these two terms are different. You cannot think of them that they are synonyms. They have same meaning. Definition wise they are same, but the key point here is gravitational field. अब हमारे अर्थ पे ग्रेविटेशन फील्ड इज यूनिफॉर्म, दैट्स व्हाई द लोकेशन इज ऑलमोस्ट सेम. But if it is not uniform, then what will happen? You will see in the next slide. Let the slide change. Now, if the gravitational field is not uniform like this, on the left side, focus on the left figure. There we have uniform gravitational field. Suppose this is the Earth. So here you can see the both points are overlapping. So if the gravitational field is uniform, then there will be no change in the location of center of mass and center of gravity. Now focus on the right side figure, where you can see that M is the center of mass and G is the center of gravity. So it is lowered in position. So location changes. Why? Because on the second field, the gravitational pull or your gravitational effects are more towards lower side. So if the gravitational field strength were greater towards your feet and weaker towards your head, then your center of gravity would be below your center of mass. Why CG has changed? Because CG depends upon gravitational field. On the other hand, center of mass doesn't. So center of mass remains same, but center of gravity got lower because gravitational force is more towards lower side. So this is the only difference. You always keep in mind that definition wise they are same, but the only factor which make them different is uniform gravitational field basically. And in Earth we don't notice it because on Earth we have uniform gravitational field. Okay, so please keep this in mind. Now center of gravity can be, this point can be outside the body too. So in the next slide you will see when the gymnast is balancing himself, in that case the distribution of weight is such that point lies outside the body. So if somebody asks you, then center of gravity can be outside the body, so answer is should be yes, because it depends only upon the distribution of your, if this is a situation, you can see now it is balanced only because of that point you can see it is outside the body, right? And the blue circle you can see, that is the base of support. I will come to this in the later slide. It is also related to center of gravity. So the point is to achieve stability, your center of gravity point should be at almost at the center of your base of support. So base of support is what? Base of support is the points at which you make contact with the earth or the floor. So here hands are making contact with floor. So that's why that circle is the base of support, and you can see easily that center of gravity point here lies exactly in the center of that. So in this position it has maximum stability, and every player tries to do that so that he remains stable. So this is the key, that what is the relation between center of gravity and base of support is this, that to achieve stability your center of gravity should be always in the center of your base of support. Okay, now next slide will tell you what is the relation of good afternoon Neha is also here, Neha has also joined. So CG and stability, what is the relation, how important your CG point is with regard to stability. So lowering your center of gravity helps you to enhance your stability. This is the main idea on this slide. When you lower your body, then when you are lowering your body, you are lowering your mass, and then your CG will shift towards lower side. As you shift towards lower side, you will become more stable. So why? Because it needs to be lifted higher before it from your base of support. So how it will increase stability? When you are lowering your CG point, you are becoming more closer to your base of support, right? So you are becoming more stable, because what is the relation? More you are towards that base of support in the center, more stable you are. Now if a guy is lowering his body, right, and one is standing, so the CG location will be more closer in the guy where your CG is closer to the base of support. So it is more closer in the guy which is lowered as compared to guy which is standing. So to become unbalanced, you have to shift that point out of base of support. So which guy will take more time to get unbalanced, or obviously the one which is standing, because it is away from the base of support as compared to the guy which is lowering himself. So idea is lower your CG point is, more closer you are towards base of support and more stable you are. Okay, so in the many sports like wrestling, they exploit this principle. So when they get lowered, they become more stable. So this is the reason, because their CG becomes more closer to their base of support, and that will offer them more stability. So this become very useful in the combat sports like wrestling and in many games. Wherever you require stability, if you lower your bow leg, you lower your body, you will get more stability. So this is the reason. So lowering the center of gravity increases balance and stability in sport. This is why you can change direction faster by bending your legs. This is the second point. You can change your direction very fast when you are stable and getting lower to the ground. So when you are more, and this is this is the I'm talking about body. And when you talk about race car, Formula One race cars, in the general, I'm just making you more clear about the point. You have seen that racer car, they are very low towards ground. So why? To maintain CG closer to base of support, so that become more stable, and when they are more stable they can be very fast, right? So same principle applies in human body. If you are lower, then you are more stable and you can be more fast in your movements. So in this way CG helps you to become very agile and balanced as well. I think this is clear now. Now in the next slide we'll talk about line of gravity. So what is line of gravity? Let it change on your slides, on your screen also. Yeah, so line of gravity is an imaginary vertical line. It is an imaginary vertical line from the center of gravity, means from that hypothetical point, from the CG point. So it is line of gravity. It is an imaginary vertical line from the center of gravity to the ground. or surface the object is on. Okay, it is in the direction that gravity is acting upon the person of object. So simply, if you want to define line of gravity, it is simply a vertical line which starts from your CG and ends at your floor. Simple. And what it tells, it basically tells you about how gravitational force is acting. Okay, so this is the simple definition. Now we'll discuss later on how it is related to CG and base of support. So next slide I'll discuss what is base of support in little bit more details so that you can become more clear about this concept. So base of support is what? The base of support is the area around the outside edge of the section of your body in contact with the ground. So just focus on the right side. You can see in the first figure, the top one, the person is standing. When you are standing, you have this amount of base of support. On the other hand, now focus on the lower image. When you open your legs, now you are having more area. So second one has larger base of support as compared to when you are standing straight. So wider the base of support, more is the stability. This is the thing I want to tell you. When you widen your base of support, when you have more area in contact with your body, then you are more stable. This is the second point. But it has some limitation. What? Widening your base of support also make you less mobile. This is the if you are winding yourself, then your leg movements, which were very fast otherwise, will become less mobile. So this is a second point you keep in mind. So in order to increase mobility and improve acceleration, you need to reduce your base of support. So this is a point to be considered, keeping in your mind that base of support, how if you are talking about only base of support, if it is less, then you are less stable. When you and less mobile, your speed will be less. On the other hand, if your base of support is more, if you have more area covering, if you are covering more area, then you will become more stable. However, you will lose little bit of mobility when you broad it on large extent. This point will become more clear when you look at the next sports picture, which will let you know how this base of support varies your mobility. And to in such instances, if you want to make stability as well as mobility, then you have to make some muscular actions like leaning forward. That is the thing. So see the this baseball game, you can see the player here is standing on one leg only. Why? To make very rapid movements, to make his agility very fast, to become more fast than opponents. That's why he's standing on one leg and he's reducing his base of support. This is point one. Now to balance himself and to be stable also and to be agile also. So that line, the red line is your line of gravity and that red point is the center of gravity. Now here these things relate. Okay, how these are related. So this picture will make you more clear. Now in this action game, in this particular movement, this guy is balancing also so that he can be stable also. He is also becoming very fast by using less base of support. So he's doing both things. He's also becoming very agile by using one leg. On the other hand, he's also trying to be stable. How is becoming stable? By leaning towards right side. He's little bit, you can see his action on the hands, he's moving that. So such kind of muscular activities are essential if you are exploiting base of support for faster movements. Similar thing happens in the sprinting also. When you sprint very fast, so in the standing position you are leaning towards forward, you are bowed towards forward. In that case also you are trying to balance yourself during fast speeds by leaning forward. So leaning forward is the muscular action which you are making to become stable. Okay, similarly here he is leaning towards right side and also doing some arm movements, muscular movements, so that he becomes more stable during very fast movements, and that high speed you can get when you use less base of support. Okay, I repeat all these points. First of all, your center of gravity line, this line from center of gravity towards your floor should be in the center of base of support. That is the maximum stability position. Now in the games you want to make your moves faster. So to achieve that, you have to decrease your base of support. This is second point, because if you are widening your base of support, then you become less mobile. To achieve mobility, very fast mobility, or not only mobility, very fast movements, very fast sections, to increase your speed, you have to decrease your base of support. Okay, now if you decrease your base of support, you will lose stability. That is obvious, because when you have lesser base of support, you are less stable. So in that case, you have to maintain stability also. For that, what you do, you make muscular movements. Either you are forwarding, leaning yourself forward, or rightward, making arms movement, so that you can have both the worlds. You achieve stability also, you achieve speed also. So this is it. I think it is clear now that you should have both things in special cases, when you want to stabilize yourself also and you want to do faster movements also. So in those cases, you exploit these principles: principle of base of support, principle of CG. Okay, I think it is clear now. Further slides will also make these points more clear to you. So what is the relation of base of support and line of gravity? In the next slide you will get to know. Let it change. Yeah. So the closer line of gravity is to the center of the base of support, the better balanced a person is in this position. So it simply means when you are standing, you are not doing any rapid movement, or you are walking simply or running. You are not doing rapid movements in generalized terms. Closer the line of gravity to the base of support. In simple words, when your center of gravity lies in the center of your base of support, you have good stability in that instant. So this is a simple line, simple principle in the generalized situations. Now in the sports or in some games, when you want acceleration, when you want speed, okay, so if that in those situations, this line of gravity sometimes lie outside also. So if the line of gravity fall outside of the base of support, the person must provide corrective muscle action. So this is the what I was saying in the previous slide. Technically it is known as corrective muscle action. You definitely make some muscular movement so that you can balance yourself while making fast movements. When your line of gravity falls outside base of support, okay, or you are using less base of support, दोनों conditions है. So look at the picture on the right side. In that case, the line of gravity is going outside base of support. तो इनका base of support देख सकते हैं. एक तो base of support बहुत छोटा है. It is the same case as baseball. He is just using toes, and also that center of the line of gravity is also outside that base of support. So in this case, he is very fast. He's trying to accelerate. So to do that, in such situation, to balance himself, he is leaning forward. अगर ये lean नहीं करेगा, if he stand straight, then he will fall down. So simply the idea is, there are two situations. One is normal situation. In normal situation, what is the principle? That your base of support should be wider, you will be more stable, and your line of gravity should be in the center of that, then you are stable. But these conditions doesn't exist when you want to make fast movements, like in games. Now this sprinter wants to accelerate very fast. So do that. So to do that, he has to use less base of support. He has to move his center of gravity line towards forward. So he cannot remain on that principle. अगर उसी पे रहेगा, then he cannot accelerate. So to make faster movements, he then use corrective muscle actions. So corrective muscle action in this sprinter is what? Leaning forward. और baseball में क्या था? He is leaning towards right side and making some arm movements. So the action like leaning forward or balancing act will help you to accelerate rapidly as well as allows you to be stable. I think it is clear now. So next slide will summarize this broad aspects of center of gravity, and then we'll move towards how we measure them. Okay. So in summary, let it change. So this slide will summarize all the points broadly. That center of gravity is an imaginary balancing point where the body weight can be assumed to be concentrated and equally distributed. Its symbols are COG and CG. CG is more relevant because it is the latest terminology. Most of the books right now using CG. Okay, but COG is also there and it is also correct. So it is a point of exact center around which the body may rotate freely in all directions. So it can also be called as center of mass. So they have just given you another way to tell you that it is almost similar to center of mass, but now I have now made it very clear that center of mass and center of gravity are different, and the difference lies in the gravitational field. Center of mass doesn't depend upon the gravitational field, but center of gravity depends. Anatomically, this point can be represented by the point of intersection of three cardinal body planes. So body planes you all know: transverse plane, sagittal plane, frontal plane. So point where all these three planes intersect is also known as this CG, center of gravity point. So anatomically you can define CG like this way also. Now the last point, center of gravity can be located within or outside the body depending on the body's configuration and position. It is inside an object when the object is uniform and outside the object when it is not uniform. So in other words, last point tells you that center of gravity point is not fixed at all in the humans, because we are constantly moving, we are constantly changing our body shapes, and it will move according to your mass distribution. So this is it. So this slides has summarized all the points which I have discussed right now up till now. Okay. Now in the next section we'll be discussing important methods to measure this center of gravity in sports. So what are those methods? So basically there are four methods to determine center of gravity. Two of them are mathematical and two of them are laboratory methods. Now first of all I'll let you know mathematical methods. So in mathematical methods they are based on the generalized data which they have collected from the long time, and they have generalized some formulas for both males and females, and on the basis of that they have devised how we can calculate CG. So one of this formula is known as Crosskey formula, and it depends upon sex of the individual, whether it is male or female, because this in Crosskey statement we have two formulas, one for males and one for females, and the second one is Palmer formula. That will give you one equation. Just you have to put your height and weight and you will get the CG location from your floor, from your toe. Okay, so this is the mathematical equation and these are based on the data generalized form. But to get more accuracy we have to shift to laboratory methods which are more accurate and which are based on individual measurements. So starting with the Crosskey formula, which is which is different for males and females, and here is the formula you will see on the next slide. So Crosskey formula in the females, here you can see in the females the Crosskey formula is total body height. What is your height of a female multiplied by 55.44 over 100. So this will give you height of COG measured from the heel. So what they have did on the basis of previous data and from generalized, they have generalized it that in all females 55.44 percentage of your height will give you from the heel will give you CG location. And on the other hand, males, in the males they have generalized as total body height into 56.18. So you see the main point here, you should focus on that percentage. You can see in the females they have generalized 55.44%. On the other hand, in the males they have generalized 56.18. So a little bit on higher side in males. So what they are generalizing, they are assuming that males have more mass distribution on the upper side. So this is the reason you can see the difference in here. But now you cannot apply this formula for the individual right now, because here today in the today's world we have exercises to make our legs more stronger, to make more muscular mass towards lower body. So in that case these formulas fails in that case, because these are generalized on the common approach that males are more heavier on upper side, right? So this is the reason they have been discarded, but you should know what is the mathematical equation for that. So this is the first formula, and it is different for both of these. So this is an assignment. You can measure your by putting your you just check these formulas, both the formulas, and see the difference, is there any or not. Crosskey also, and second one is Palmer. So in the Palmer, what they have done, they have uh, generalized an addition factor of 1.4 centimeter, and they have make that percentage as a uniform between both, but added 1.4 centimeter in that. Idea is same here also, a little bit of the modification. They have again generalized this formula on the basis of previous data. Hence it is also not individually, we cannot use that individually, but you can check it how difference comes. You also use both of these formulas and check how much difference you will get. I think they have collected a lot of data. There will be not much difference between the two, but you calculate, and please answer me in that WhatsApp groups or comment here. So here the Palmer formula is, so it is regardless of male or female, just you have to put your total body height and then multiply by 55.7 over 100, and just you have to add 1.4. You will get COG in centimeters from heel. Okay, so calculate your CGs by both of these formulas. Now coming to the laboratory methods to measure CG in the next slide. So what is that? Reaction. First one is the reaction method, which I have already told you in the body segments lecture. So same technique, same apparatus of reaction method can be used to find CG. So this method is also useful for measuring body segments, and same apparatus, we have a reaction board on the right side, you can see. So I have shown you two figures. On the first figure you can see there is nobody is there, it is empty, and in the second figure athlete is lying down. So what is the idea? Just you have to again see the reaction forces in this, because you know the distance between the 2 points A from left side A to point B. On the B side, on the right hand side, I'm saying there is a force platform which can measure the reaction forces when the person lies. So first of all you have to measure the R1 without any athlete on it. Okay, so you will have distance D with you because you know it is fixed already. So you will get the R1 value without athlete, then let the athlete lie on that, and then again you will get the R2 value. So by getting R2 minus R1 into D, which you already know because it is fixed one, over W. What is your W? W is the body weight basically. So applying this, you can very easily calculate the COG location. So this is a thing which you can use for laboratory measurement of your CG, and it is far accurate from mathematical than generalized equations. So this is it. Now when you don't have this apparatus and you don't want to use any instrument, then very common method and a very accurate method is segmental method, which you have already, I have discussed you in the class also. This is in your practical also. So that you can do just by photograph of a person. So it is that method. Graphical method is it also known as graphical method. You all know, you have done that already. So just to make you more aware, so in this segmental method, the body is mathematically broken up into different segments. So you can broke up into 5 segments also: head, trunk, arms, legs. So depending upon the activity or how much data you have, data what, that weight part, you should have a table with you where you should know that what is the weight of your head, generalized table which we have got from the which I've shown you before also, or you have some accurate body measurements of your body segments, then it will be more accurate. Okay, so you should know what is the body weight of your head, your leg, your different body segments. So the weight of each segment is then estimated from mean anthropometric data. If you don't have that, if you have exact measurement of yourself, then it will be very accurate. Okay, so after doing that, what you will do, you have to just plot a graph. Begin with traced or printed photo of the subject. You can use photograph also. You have to, for example, you are running and you want to measure your CG in that movement. Just click yourself in that position. You will have the photograph, and then pinpoint different, trace your that photograph or keep that photograph on the graph, and draw the dots on the joints representing proximal and distal points. Just you have to make the locations of joints so that you can match them with x and y axis. Connect the dots with straight lines, and in the next slide you will get the formula, that is simple graphical method by which you will get two coordinates. We call it as CG, center of gravity coordinates, one for x axis and one for y axis, just simply by summation of xs ms over ms. So what are xs and this ys? These are x and y coordinates of your individual segments. So for each body segment you have to make coordinates like x and y. You have to locate them, and then you have to sum them and multiply with them individual masses. For example, you have one arm, hand, head. So there are 3 segments. For each segment you have to locate x axis as well as y axis. Okay, then you have to, what you have to do, you have to multiply x of head, x location of head in the centimeters, multiply by mass, plus x of your arm location, multiply by arm mass of arm. Okay, third segment, fourth segment, so as many segment as you want. Okay, so then you have to add up and divide it by total sum, the total sum of your masses. If you are using 5, then add 5. If you are using 4, then use mass, then add mass of 4. So then you will get xcg, that is your coordinate. Similarly you will get for the y coordinate. Then when you will get xcg and ycg points, mark them on your body, and the point where they intersect is your cg. So this you have done already practically also. I have told you, I have shown you in the practical books also. So it is, I think, very clear already in your minds. So these are the methods which we use, and this segment method is the latest one, and it is the most used one, widely used one, and more accurate also as compared to. But as an assignment, you try to use all these 3 except reaction method, that you can't use because you don't have instruments at your homes. But by all these 3 you can calculate and let me know what are the differences come. Okay, you can use generalized table, you can get it from internet. Okay, what is the mass of head, generalized, you can use that. So please do that and let me know CG difference koi aata hai ki nahi aata, and I think there won't be much difference between these 3. So that's it for today. So this is how. So any please share your experience, and any question you have, so please put here or in the group also. We'll discuss that. Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, Neha, for being here. Thank you, everybody. So if you have any question, please let me know. Type here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nita. Thank you, Sai.